A stranger appears at a widow's door 6 months after her husband's funeral, clutching an old photograph. The words that come out of her mouth will shatter 40 years of marriage. "I think your husband was my father." But here's what nobody saw coming: the letter hidden in a cedar box that reveals he knew all along. And what he did in secret will leave you speechless. The house hasn't felt right since the funeral. 64-year-old Lillian Foster moves through her kitchen like a ghost in her own life. A cardigan draped over the chair, been there for weeks. His reading glasses on the end table, the book he never finished. Dust settling where routine used to live. 6 months. That's how long it's been since she buried Richard, her husband of 40 years. The man who knew how she took her coffee, who left little notes on grocery lists, who hummed off-key while fixing things around the house. He wasn't extraordinary, he was dependable. Or so she thought, because on this particular Tuesday afternoon, someone is about to knock on her door and prove that we never truly know the people we love most. The knock is soft, hesitant. Lillian freezes. Nobody drops by anymore. When she opens the door, there's a woman standing on her porch, early 30s, pale, nervous, both hands clutching an envelope like it might disintegrate if she lets go. The young woman's voice barely holds steady. "I'm so sorry to come like this, Mrs. Foster, but I think your husband was my father." The words don't crash into the room. They drift in and change the gravity of everything. But here's what makes this moment even more devastating. Lillian doesn't scream, doesn't slam the door, because somewhere deep in the corners of memory, something is stirring, something she buried 35 years ago and convinced herself didn't matter. What happened next? She did something that shocked even herself. They sit at the kitchen table. Lillian doesn't remember offering a chair, but the young woman, Sophie Brennan, is there now, perched carefully like she's afraid to take up too much space. Behind Lillian, the walls are lined with photographs, 40 years in frames. Beach trips, Christmas mornings, backyard barbecues, gray hair arriving slowly over decades, the quiet comfort of a life lived side by side. But Sophie is holding a different photograph. Richard, younger, maybe 30, his arm around a woman Lillian has never seen. And in that woman's arms, a baby. Sophie speaks softly, like someone handling broken glass. "I'm not here to take anything," Sophie says, voice breaking. "I just wanted to know who he was." And that's when Lillian feels something unexpected. Not rage, not betrayal, recognition. Memory doesn't arrive like lightning, it seeps in. Lillian remembers a summer 35 years ago. Richard had been different then, distant, distracted, sad in a way he couldn't explain. Work stress, he'd said. She wanted to ask more, push deeper, but life was busy. Bills, schedules, responsibilities. And trust makes it dangerously easy not to look too closely. She told herself it would pass. It did, or at least she thought it had. Now that old season of silence rises from the past like something unfinished, like a door she closed without checking what was behind it. But what Lillian doesn't know yet, what's waiting in a cedar box at the back of her closet, will rewrite everything she thought she understood about the man she married. Sophie continues. Her voice is gentle, careful. She didn't grow up knowing his name, but there were strange things, unexplained things. A bike that appeared on her 10th birthday, no card, no name. Books in the mail every year, always her favorite genres. Someone who showed up to her high school graduation and stood quietly in the back, leaving before she could ask who he was. "My mom would just smile and say I had a guardian angel," Sophie whispers. "I never knew it was him." Lillian's chest tightens, because Lillian remembers those years. The quote-unquote work conferences that took him out of town, the extra shifts he'd volunteer for, the charitable donations he never explained. He thought he was just generous. Turns out he was keeping a promise to someone else. That night, Lillian can't sleep. She opens the cedar box at the back of the closet. the one she hasn't touched since the funeral. Inside are birthday cards, old ticket stubs, a dried flower from their anniversary trip to Savannah, and beneath it all, an envelope she doesn't recognize. No name, just his handwriting, that familiar scrawl. Her hands tremble as she unfolds the pages. The letter was never finished, never mailed, just written and hidden away like a confession he couldn't deliver. He writes about a mistake made during a lonely stretch of their marriage, about finding out years later there had been a child, about wanting to help quietly, sending money through anonymous channels, watching from a distance, trying to do right by a daughter he could never claim. He writes about fear, about shame, about not knowing how to tell the truth without destroying the life they'd built together. One line sits heavier than the rest. I carried it every day, Lily, and I never stopped loving you, even when I didn't know how to be brave enough to tell you. Lillian weeps, not from rage, not from betrayal, but from realizing he lived with a weight she never saw, that he protected her from a truth that would have hurt them both. That love isn't always about honesty. Sometimes it's about sacrifice. But here's what makes this moment even more devastating. The next afternoon, Sophie comes back. Lillian makes tea, the way Richard used to like it, 2 sugars, a splash of milk. They sit together in the same kitchen, sunlight warming the table between them. And Lillian begins to tell Sophie things no document ever could. How he danced badly in the living room when he thought no one was watching. How he talked to their dog like it understood every word. How he cried at every school play and pretended it was allergies. Sophie laughs through tears. She shares stories too. How a man once helped her fix a broken bike chain at the park. How someone paid her college application fees anonymously. How she received a card after her mother's funeral with no signature, just a quote about strength and grief. They're not comparing notes, they're assembling a whole person from 2 halves of his life. And slowly, impossibly, grief begins to feel less lonely. Lillian looks at the photograph wall again that evening. The photos don't feel false anymore. They feel incomplete. Not lies, just a life with a chapter she never got to read. Love, she realizes, is not undone by truth. It just becomes more complicated, more human. 3 weeks later, a quiet cemetery under soft gray skies. Lillian stands in front of the headstone, and Sophie is beside her now, not behind, not separate. There's a moment of hesitation, the kind that comes before a boundary becomes a bridge. Lillian reaches out and gently takes Sophie's hand. She looks at the engraved name, Richard James Foster, beloved husband. You should have told me, she thinks, but I understand why you didn't know how to. She squeezes Sophie's hand. Because family isn't always what we plan. Sometimes it's what remains when the truth finally finds its way home. The wind moves softly through the trees, and for the first time in months, the silence feels different, not empty, shared. What would you do if you discovered a secret like this? Would you forgive? Would you feel betrayed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story moved you, there's another one you need to hear, about a woman who discovered her mother was living a double life for 20 years. The truth she uncovered will leave you stunned. That video is coming up next. Thanks for watching. And remember, the people we think we know best sometimes carry the heaviest secrets.